Great morning, traders. This is Austin. It is Wednesday, August 6th. This is day 3 of our 5-day crude oils work chronicled. It's 9:01 Eastern. The pit session just opened, and we have the big event today for crude is the weekly inventory report on a normal week with no holiday breaks and all of those things. And Wednesday at 10:30 Eastern, we get the weekly build-up or drawdown report, and that tends to cause a reaction in the markets. But more importantly, statistically speaking, the probabilities at or after 10:30 a.m., between 10:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. Eastern, in that segment of the pit session on these Wednesdays, crude oil tends to make a 100-cent directional move or greater, 100 cents or greater directional move at some point following the news. Not every time. I don't even know if it's 2 weeks out of 4, to be honest with you, but it's more than not. Okay, it's at least half of the time, if not a majority of time. If it's only half of the time, that's still a strong statistical probability. All right, and so with that said, the way I approach every Wednesday with the oil inventory report on a normal week is to trade the hours prior to that sparingly, if at all, and then focus on that segment from 10:30 onwards. Now, we happen to have a textbook set up in crude
Order
right into the
pending.
open, and
Order
so I've
canceled.
tried that, and it's on the short side of 97.60 area, 58 specifically, and then stop there. And I'm not going to. I may work this if it gets stopped out, and I see that price stalls there and then reconfirms. I would try that one more time. And that's about it for now until the news report comes out. On the other hand, if this particular play here survives and it heads towards the 10:30 a.m. news without going far enough to exit. So in other words, if it's working okay, if it's 10, 20 cents in favor but not much more, and then we get close to the 10:30 mark, then I would manually close it and wait to reestablish something after the news. Hopefully this is going to go 40 cents or greater without taking much heat. I would exit and then consider whether working any further into the session or not. So that's pretty much in a nutshell how Wednesdays go. In general, on the stock market side, looks like some significant gap down opens, about an 8-point gap open on the S&P. And I wouldn't really say, I take that back. They weren't substantial. Let me see. I don't have Russell. I'm not even. I don't have the Russell chart in view. Just offhand here. Well, anyways, their gap down opens. I'm not pulling data just this minute, but their gap opens pending in the stock market, and that too may affect crude oil because obviously crude oil stocks are part of that process. So we'll see how it all goes. Like I said, the main event, statistically speaking, not every time, but statistically speaking, is 10:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. We'll see what happens here. So it is 9:05 Eastern. Okay, it is 9:07 and we had these whipsaws. Let's flip to a 1-minute chart here. And so this is the open range established, and then they whip back up and they test the top of the open range and they drop. And so I started with
Order
an initial
pending.
10 cent
Order canceled.
a risk on that play. We're going to take it to 5. If they come up and slap that out, then that's it for now until after 10:30. So this is the last attempt here to work with crude until after the weekly inventory report. We'll see what happens. The first attempt went, I don't know, 20-ish cents in favor, just about, and then this quick spike here, and now it's working around what is the top of the open range.
Order filled.
And it's out. And that's that. So nothing more to do or even consider in crude until 10:30. Back to analysis about 10:25. Mark up the pertinent action zones and then see what, if anything's in store. It's 9:08. I'll see you around 10:25. Okay, 9:29. I'm sorry, 10:29. 10:29 Eastern, and about to have the oil inventory report released sometime within 60 seconds anyway. We should see the bid-ask spreads flare as the trading kind of halts and then they whipsaw. That's usually what happens. So watch the bid-ask spread on the dome as it gets close. Stocks have been in a straight up squeeze since the open. Both symbols gave buy signals down low and substantially above those now. There's the initial whipsaws, which don't really mean anything. I generally look to resume work around 9:31. I'm sorry, 10:31, 10:32. I keep saying 9:30s as if we're talking about stocks. I usually give it a minute or two in order to whipsaw around, clear the freak out, and then see what's real. As you can see here, if you're trying to enter even with a 10 or 15 tick stop, not going to happen. That's the nature of these whipsaw bars here, to clear out both sides before a real move ensues. So with that in mind, give it until around 10:32 and then go back to work in whatever the sequence setups are. So watch and wait. Okay, 10:33. Price is still whipping around. Long signal here. Confirmed and taken 97.85. Stop 97.80. There was a sell that was around 97.70 area, and that kicked out at -6 ticks. So remember, and now there's also a continuation buy right here around the 97.95 zone. 97.95 is a continuation buy. They should be going up. I'm actually going to take off all risk plus 1 tick. If they're going up, they should go up from here. Keeping in mind the propensity for a 100-cent or greater range following 10:30. This might be it, or it might be the big fake out and they take them the other direction, in which case I would be looking sell side 97.80, 97.70 zone. So for now it's a full bull, not to be confused with full of bull. There's the upside potential. There's the pull back and retest.
Order pending.
There.
Order pending.
If accepted, and the risk would be 5 ticks overall. If they pull them back, if I miss out on that, that's okay. It's kind of it's whipping around the signal. It's not really giving me what I'm looking for.
Order canceled. Order canceled. Order pending.
Not giving me what I'm looking for.
Order pending. Order filled. Order pending. Order pending.
And there's
Order canceled.
Layer of continuations. Now if they come back and take this out, the upside is probably negated, and they're probably going to chop. Because if they come all the way back here, then they're back in the neutral zone of what I look at, which has nothing to do with this chart. This is just marking time. So the scenarios are now they're going to come back, stop this out barely, and then turn and burn higher. And then my decision to add was wrong on the secondary signal because I'm getting continual buys. If they continue higher, then that decision was correct. If they stop it out and go 5 miles lower, it doesn't really matter. So those are the 3 scenarios. It's going to barely stop out and then turn and go higher. It's going to not stop out and go higher, or it's going to stop out and then turn and go lower. Those are the only three things that can happen: up, down, or sideways, basically. And I have no bias or opinion. Looks like out. Yep, still whipping. Hanging in there by a tick. Pretty noisy. I'm not going to.
Order
Yeah,
filled.
usually when they test it by a tick and then that slipped a little bit, and then it doesn't last. Usually, if it just misses by a tick and falters, it's coming back. So we still have whipsaws. There's nothing here to buy. It's choppy mush. If I get another long signal, I'll take it. But for now, just sit, watch, and wait. 10:36. All right, literally
Order pending.
entered a short.
Order
Whip lower.
canceled.
Here's the 15 minute. Let's go to a 5 minute. And this is all we have so far. Just whipsaw reactions, which is not unusual, and it takes a little while sometimes for that to sort out. Maybe it's sorted already, and maybe it isn't. One thing about crude, and here's the difference in my own mentality in crude oil versus anything else. I expect at any given time crude can make a big move from anywheres. That's my expectation based on years of experience. Years of experience has taught me that crude oil can and commonly will make big moves at any time from anywheres. All right, so every time I take a position, I have a positive expectation that that may go the distance. Once in a while, a session will come along where that's not the case. And at the end of the day, I've had, umpteen turns, and those expectations of a big move weren't met. So there's that. But most of the time, somewhere in a session, if there's a sequence confirmed and it's taken, or quite frankly, if it's not, there will be follow through inevitably. So that's what I do. I just, to the best of my ability, try to get out of my own way and just execute the plan of operation with as little bit of bias or emotion as possible. Unfortunately, experience over time with different markets will teach bad habits. In other words, it'll leave traders jaded. So if you get chopped a few times or you see price going nowhere, it's like, oh yeah, been there before. It's the here we go again syndrome. And that's especially true if you spent any time in the stock indexes over the past few months or most of this year, quite frankly, with few exceptions. Recently we've had a spate of volatility, and earlier this year we had a few spates, but for the most part, you take trades and it's chop, 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 chop. And so if you take those experiences over into different symbols with the same expectations, that's incorrect. As far as crude goes, I just keep pulling the trigger and pulling the trigger until something happens or so much time has passed that I see that the chart is just total fuzz and there's nothing more to be done. So here we are. There's still no bias. If they could whip this one out before I complete the sentence here, and then I would be looking upside around 97, 98 to the 98 zone is where I would look to establish longs. And if they come down to into the open range there, that would be bearish. But for now, it's price struggling sideways in the morning range. 1045. All right, how about an update? 1054 to the long side, 97.86. Stop was a 97.80, and I also had a reverse sell order. If they crack back down around 97.73, that would be a sell confirm. So, and then of course back inside the open range. As you can see, this is the whole morning. Nothing's happened yet. Anything that's going to happen still awaits, and it could be the direction, like we discussed ad nauseum there earlier. So sit, watch, and wait. If the upside works, that's great. If the downside turns to prevail, we're prepared for that. So now it's just a matter of execution on the market end. 1055. Alrighty, it's me. I'm back. We've got a little bit of movement in crude. It's smacking various forms of resistance. not the least of which is a double top here off the initial reflex. So what I'm going to do, if they come down into
Order
98, I'm
pending.
going to do an add, and then let's see, right about there would be correct, and that would be that. If they don't come down and make that happen, I'm just going to work with one sequence up, and then if they come down all the way through 97.85, 97.75, I'd be looking on the short side from there. And if none of that works, I'm off until 1:30 in the afternoon. So it's going to be one or the other here soon. 11:03. All right, the whipsaw party continues. I tried
Order
selling into the
canceled.
97.94 area. That
Order
didn't happen. They
pending.
just whipped them on down. Now I'm
Order
trying
canceled.
97.84. That's whipping on down. Next line in the sand would be about 97.74. So if they crack that
Order
down,
pending.
if they just slam right through that, then I'm going to take that. I'm done with the upside. If they pop from here, I'm just going to let it go and see what takes place in the afternoon. We've already been through one segment of the day, which is 6 a.m. Eastern to 9, and now we're getting towards the second segment of the day, which is 9 until noon, and then the third segment is 1:30 to 2:30. So going to work one sell side attempt here, and if that fails to materialize for any reason, then I'm done, gone, and we'll return around 1:30. As far as the stock side goes, all they gave early buy signals. They ramped those straight up, and now they're just dead towards the relative highs there. So low energy day. And the 5-minute chart here in crude oil pretty much says it all. They may get uglier than that, but I haven't seen one lately. 11:13. Okay. By God, we have movement.
Order
Praise the
pending.
Lord.
Order canceled.
And
Order
we're going
canceled.
to manage the risk like that. I couldn't get in. Tried 97.94. Blew away. 97.84. Blew away. 97.74. Slipped a tick. So now price, all it's done is gone right back to test the top of the open range. This might be one big chop zone here. We don't know. If it is, if this does anything other than perform, then I'm out until 1:30, like I said, and we'll reconvene. And if this one works, then well, with that I'm done, and that's the day. So either way, we should have a happy ending here, one way or the other. So this is generally what we call a widening or megaphone kind of sequence. It's just an ugly chart where the market here is going nowhere, and we will see if it resolves itself from there soon or not. Use a arbitrary 5-cent 5-tick risk, and let's see what happens. 11:18. 11:23. She's whipping. No risk. I mean, you can see what's going on over here. Let's widen our view. 15 minutes. And that's essentially that. It's sitting right on that top of the open range, and they're married there. Here was the large move from yesterday, the chopwards, downwards, and that's what they're doing so far. So crude oil's been quite choppy, spastic lately, which is not unusual this time of the year. That's the usual liquidity, summertime, thin market, so on and so forth. So I don't have any further plans other than see how this resolves. 11:24. All right, 11:29. We have movement. I added to this one. The ad was either 97.57 or 47. Both of those were viable pullback zones. Like I said, because price has done all of this in the overnight, that it's left a number of support and resistance sequences. So that's that. And now they're headed lower. Today's been like watching a bunch of older people in a nursing home, waiting for movement. Finally, we have something. Signs of life. They're back to the bottom of the open range now for just a rough ballpark. Generally speaking, there will be a 100-cent or greater move past the news somewhere between 10:30 and 2:30. So far, they've gone 70-ish cents, 75 if we want to be, really particular. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that 5 cents to the plus, and if they come up and take that out, then it's just kind of range chopping, and we'll see what happens in the afternoon stretch. It's just been not much going on, so sit, watch, and wait. This could resolve within seconds, or it could take a while. 11:30. Okay, final update. um, Prices moved almost the 100 cents that it commonly does. We talked about this in the pre-market. Is traded to the 20 level. We're going to come down to 35, and then we're going to take it down incrementally from there if possible. So that is that's how we're doing here. I was hoping that we could get a little more extension down around here. Let's see if I got that right. Down around here is where I was expecting, because that's generally the 100 plus 10 cents, and it's also this reaction low from where it based at the pit session close and then came off. So might still, but settle for that. Right now, currently the box score is minus 19 cents, and this is plus 25 on 2 would be plus 50 cents. So it's plus 25 cents doubled. So anyway, that would be enough for the day, but we'll see if there's more. So there we have it. Waiting resolution 1214. Okay, they're starting to fluctuate down. So what I'm going to do is
Order
take it
pending.
to 29.
Order
We have a solid
canceled.
31 cents per contract, and I would think that if this gives way now, really what they're doing is ledging right there. So if the 21 cents gives way, no, we don't need any of that. We should see 97.10. For all we know, we're going to see 96 by the end of the session, but that's not the objective. Our objective is to go in and pick off segments where possible, and try to keep the draws minimal along the way. Like I said before, and I've said many times, this is the only trades management tactic that I have been able to create consistency with, is just going in and looking for small chunks, 30, 40, 50 cents where possible, and then shut it down after that. Anything else, trying to hold for the bigger moves like we used to back in the day, they're just too infrequent. For every time you get a solid directional push like that, there's numerous instances where you get this, and so small chunks are where it's at, in my opinion. So we're at plus 31 cents on the trail, and it is flirting with that. You can see where price is ledging inside of what was yesterday afternoon's pause congestion before the pit session close, and then the reactions to that. So anyway, my guess is they're gonna snap up and take that out. That would be my guess, but I'll give it a chance to break lower. You never know. Doesn't look that way.
Order filled.
And they slipped a tick out, which is not unusual, and that's how they go. All right, so big picture, it's generally been stuck to the open range today. Here's the open range, and they came above into the 233, and then they came below the 233. Down is here, and they might be there by the close or sooner. They might be there in 5 minutes. I don't know, but what I do know is I'm done for the day. Mission accomplished. Objectives met. Let's do it again tomorrow. See you soon. Have a great one.